Dr. Asekun, thank you for sharing. As we begin to round this up, let's talk immigration law, because you're easily one of the biggest immigration lawyers of African descent in the United States. I mean, I'm not exaggerating, am I? Easily. In fact, this is how. So the first time we met at the garden party, and you know where, there's no need to drop names. So we met at the garden party, and I told you. So when you gave me your card, after you told me about the, in fact, what I'd asked you was, how hard was it for you to become a lawyer? How hard was it for you to pass the bar, which is a very difficult exam? By the way, let's put that on record. Without going to school, without going to any classes, you took the bar one time by yourself and you passed. And you didn't even study for a long period. So let's be clear about how unique you might be in how unique you are. So that's what we're talking about. And then you give me your card. And so I saw the name Ulu Asekun. In fact, that's how I think of you in my head. And when I call you from now, that's what I will call you. I won't call you Dr. Asekun. I'll call you the law offices of Ulu Asekun. So I saw your name and I said, Mr. Asekun, that I actually know you by reputation because somebody once was beside me and they needed help. In short, they needed to find help for somebody else. And they said, let me call a very good lawyer. And then they called, hello, Mr. Asekun, sir. So I knew the name before I met you. I see all of this just to lay the foundation for the fact that you're easily one of the, one of the most popular immigration lawyers of African descent working with Africans, Nigerians here. So here's the question. Given the state of our country, and what is going on right now, I know you do clinics, free clinics for people, helping them solve immigration matters and all of that. Should anybody leave right now, bearing in mind that you've seen all sides or enough sides of the situation, people who come, people who don't come, people get into trouble? What is your best advice right now for somebody who is watching this and who is conflicted? Things are tough back home, but it's not as if anywhere is also the promised land. What's your best advice?
Let me say this. There is this Yoruba proverb. I don't even know whether it's a proverb or just a saying. Atewo labala.
Many toko. Yes, sir.
How do you interpret that?
It's both a saying and a proverb. Yeah,
But for those who don't understand Yoruba, how do you?
Usually I would.
Our destiny. Our
translation. Well, literally, it means that the fingers. The lines on your palm, the lines on everybody's palm. We all know that we have lines, but nobody knows who wrote those lines or who designed or who put these lines.
And scientifically, science has proved that fingerprint, despite the fact that we have billions of people on earth, that there are no two people with the same fingerprint.
Yeah.
So that will tell you how much destiny has a role to play. Why am I saying that? Considering the fact that I'm an American citizen, if I tell people not to relocate, they will say, oh, it's because God has done it for him. That's why he's saying that. If I tell people to relocate, those who are not able to will think that the truth of the matter is that I've seen people who do better in their home country than the US. People who are actually here in a kind of bondage. And I've also seen people who are doing extremely well here. People who probably would otherwise not be able to afford many things of life, many good things of life. So my advice is to first determine the purpose. Anyone who is looking at or watching us or thinking of whether to jackpot or anything, look at the purpose. What is your purpose in life? Make that determination. Once you make that determination, then you can now decide whether you, as I said, in my case, I didn't come here for a better life, even though better life eventually came. But I believe that even if I had remained in Nigeria, I would still have been a successful lawyer by God's grace. But the point is, you need to know exactly what works for you. America is a land of opportunity, but America is also dangerous. The law is very strict here. There are things that once you make the wrong step, it may take forever to fix. In some cases, you may not even be able to fix it. I tell people, this is one of the reasons why we do the weekly podcast. Apart from the weekly podcast, I also have another book. I don't know if you've seen it, American Immigration Questions and Answers.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No.
Yeah, I will show you a sample later. That book is titled American Immigration Questions and Answers. One of the reasons why I wrote the book and one of the reasons why we do the weekly podcast is to provide information to people. There are so many errors, avoidable errors that people are making out of ignorance. Even the Bible says that my people perish for lack of knowledge. There are so many things going on. Let me give you an example. Some people don't know the difference between visa and I-94. I see this all the time. People come to me for consultation. They tell me, oh, I have a 2-year visa. I came July last year, but I still have my 2-year visa. It's yet to expire. Meanwhile, this person is already out of status. Some people don't know the difference between the role of a visa and legal status. I tell people, visa is only a document that is directed at airline. So you show it to the airline so that the airline is not penalized for bringing illegal alien or foreigner. What that simply means that for the airline to bring you here, they have to see evidence that they are authorized to bring you. So as soon as the aircraft touches the land at the airport, visa's role is over. Technically, when you come out of the plane and you get to the CBP line where people converge to be, and that is where you are now seeking admission. Technically, that line where you are standing, you are actually still standing in your country.
When you're in the United States, for example, and you're standing in front of the immigration officer and the
CBP officer, you are actually still
Custom
standing.
Borders and Protection.
Yes.
The CBP officer. Before he stamps to admit you,
yes,
you are still in your country.
You are still in your country. you are now seeking admission. So if the officer decide to admit you, that's when they allow you in. I'm sure you have had stories of people who are denied admission at that point.
Oh, yes.
Because visa does not do any of that. The visa's role is directed to the airline. But these are simple things that people don't know. I've seen people who are given 1 week to stay in the US.
Really?
Yes.
I've never seen 1 week. It's usually 6 months.
I've seen people who I've seen a client who was given 24 hours.
Okay, why? But how long was the visa valid for?
The visa is still valid for 2 years.
And was given 24 hours?
Yes.
Why?
You see, the CBP officers or the Department of State generally and the Department of Homeland Security, the Congress gave them broad power, broad discretionary power. And when you say something is discretionary, the court has ruled over and over. You can be sure I do a lot of immigration litigation. I've taken Department of State to court. I've taken Department of Homeland Security to court. I've taken USCIS to court. I'm a passionate litigator. So the court have said that, look, once this power is discretionary, we cannot tell them how to use it. The moment we are able to tell them to use it one way or the other, it is no longer discretionary. Meanwhile, Congress intended the power to be discretionary. So when something is discretionary, so if the officer don't believe you or the purpose for which you are coming in, the officer can decide to give you 1 day, 1 week, 6 months, or even deny you admission completely. It is 100% discretionary and there is no appeal. So those are some of the things that people don't know. And now, because here is a country of law, if you have to do a change of status, you must be maintaining legal status. The moment you are out of status, you can no longer change your status because there is nothing to change. A lot of these things people don't know.
That is the moment you overstay the date that is stamped
yes.
in your passport. There's no recourse for you, except maybe marriage.
Well, in a family petition, yes, the law waives overstay.
Yeah. Okay.
If they believe that they cannot destroy a marriage because somebody overstay. But even marriage too has its own limitation. For example, if you enter the United States, we call something IWI, entry without inspection. That is, you didn't come with a visa or anything. If you come to the United States IWI, you cannot change your status here, even if you marry the president's daughter.
Wait, I didn't know that. Look, if you come here without being inspected, you weren't admitted by an officer.
Yes.
Maybe essentially what a lot of people are doing at the borders right now.
Yes. Maybe you walk into the border, or you jump the fence, or through Canada or anything.
If you marry the president.
If you marry the president, you cannot adjust your status in the US. That is the law.
Wow.
There are a few exceptions. The first exception is if a family member or an employer filed an immigrant petition on your behalf before April 30th, 2001, then because the law at that time allowed people who come in IWI to pay penalty and then adjust.
Okay.
So if a petition was filed on your behalf before that time, we would now tell immigration to apply the law at that time, because that was when the petition was filed.
Good luck with that, 23 years ago.
So you will still go ahead and pay your penalty, and then you'll be able to adjust.
Yeah.
The second exception to that is that if you manage to live here for a long time and you don't get caught, if you have been living here for at least 10 years, so if you have a US citizen qualifying relative, spouses, parents, or minor children, if they will suffer hardship if you are to be removed. And then the third requirement, you yourself must be a person of good moral character, meaning that no criminal record. So if you meet those three requirements and you are in removal proceedings, then you can apply for what is called cancellation of removal. So if granted, you can still be a permanent resident without having to go back to your home country. So those are the only two exceptions. But other than that, if you just come in through the border, you are just going to be here illegally. I know people who have been here since the 80s and they still don't have papers. And many of them because of wrong steps. I've also seen people whose problem emanated from lawyers. Because there are so many, immigration is very complex. Immigration law is very complex. And if you are not an immigration attorney, immigration law is not one of those things that you can just do as a general practice, which unfortunately a lot of lawyers do. I've seen someone a religious organization that wanted to petition for somebody, and they hired a lawyer to help them with the petition. The lawyer filed a wrong form. The lawyer filed Form I-360 instead of filing Form I-121. By the time immigration raised a request for evidence, that person was already out of status. And by the time the petition was denied, the person didn't have any recourse. Even though they came here, unfortunately, I was not able to help. Because the damage has been done. There are three basic things that if you do, you cannot get green card in the US. One, if somebody is convicted of aggravated felony, even if you already have green card, they will take it from you with limited exception. Two, if somebody, the reason I'm saying this thing is because the last two that I want to mention now, these are very common things that a lot of people do, and I battle with it all the time. If you file a frivolous application for asylum, it is a permanent bar. You don't have to be a lawyer to know that. Go and look at the asylum application. It is called Form I-589. Go to page 9. You will see, warning, if you are in the United States unlawfully, the information you provided in this form may be used against you if immigration determines that your application is frivolous. And you will be permanently barred if the application is determined to be frivolous. Remember, frivolous means fabrication, something that didn't happen. You may not avoid frivolous findings simply because someone advised you to provide wrong information. This thing is written in bold on page 9 of asylum application. Many people don't even read it before they apply for asylum. What they don't know is that the United States have embassies in most of the countries of the world. They know what is going on in every country. Some people we write stories that they tend to forget that US citizens live in those countries. US have staff, embassy staff living in those countries. US write, the Department of State, they write country report, human rights abuses on every single country on earth every year. And these things are public record. Go on Google. Just type Department of State country report on Nigeria. Put any year. As recently as 2023, the report is already online. So many people don't know all these things. They come up with frivolous stories. Again, another challenge, or maybe before I go into that, I said 3 things. I've mentioned aggravated felony. I've mentioned frivolous asylum pending application. The third one is marriage fraud. Section 204C of the Immigration and Nationality Act says, and I quote, no petition shall be approved. You remember, we are all students of English. You know the difference between will and shall. When you use shall, it means compulsory. It means it's not optional. No petition shall be approved if, 1, if the alien has been determined to enter into a marriage for the purpose of evading immigration law, or the Attorney General has determined that the alien has attempted or conspired to enter into a marriage for the purpose of evading immigration law. If you go further to look at the petition itself, from I-130, that is petition for alien relative, again on page 9, it is there. If you enter into a marriage contract in order to obtain immigration benefit, you will be sentenced to a period of 5 years in prison or fine $250,000 or both. They are all there in the application. So those 3 things, if any of those 3 things happen, you cannot get green card in the US. Going back to what I wanted to say relating to asylum, it is important because I see a lot of people come in and submit application for asylum without the slightest understanding. And the painful part is that I have also seen lawyers who don't even understand the meaning of asylum. I know that you are the one conducting this interview today, but let me ask you, just to be sure that you get my point and I drum it home to our listeners. Tell me in your own experience, what do you think asylum is? Tell me your understanding of asylum.
Can you imagine if I don't know anything now, you put me on the spot? Just imagine that.
Just to give me an idea.
I get it. I'm just thinking that. Just imagine that I'm a dunce now.
No. What most people tell me.
Of course,
if you are seeking refuge.
I will answer. What's asylum? Asylum means essentially that where you're coming from, you fled. It's untenable. You can't stay there. Your life is at risk. You fled to the nearest port of safety or to the most accessible port of safety. That's your asylum. So you're running to that place. So you're entering that place and you don't intend to come out as far as that is concerned. Once you are in that place, you have asylum in that place. You're not coming out, because if you come out of that place, especially to whence you came from, your life is at risk still.
You see, I would have been surprised if you got it right. Because, like I said, even lawyers, I've seen immigration lawyers. I've been a part of a seminar where about 7 or 8 lawyers, it was a Zoom meeting during COVID, where the organizers invited different lawyers to be part of the Zoom meeting. People we send in questions and they will say, oh, lawyer so, can you answer that? Then there was this lawyer from New York. Somebody asked a question about asylum and the lawyer started answering questions. I was scared because it was very glaring that the lawyer himself didn't even understand asylum. Now, let me tell you this in a layman's language. Of course, I have several podcasts that where I've dealt with asylum. I think I have about 6 or 7 different topics on asylum. Let me explain to you in a layman's language so that whoever is listening to this, if you have been a victim, you may still be able to fix it before it is too late. In this world, we have several countries, and every single country, they have something called government. Have you ever seen any country anywhere without a government?
Well, that is debatable. I know some that say they have, but
without a government, and they are a country.
I mean, they say they have, they are there, but they, I mean,
but at least,
I mean,
either theoretically or practically,
yeah.
But at least there is no country anywhere
I was just
without
kidding.
a government.
Yes, true.
Now, it doesn't matter the type of country, whether you are a capitalist country, a socialist country, parliamentarian system, it doesn't matter, presidential or whatever.
Monarchy.
It doesn't. Every single government have 2 responsibilities. The first responsibility of any government is to protect its borders, and that is why they have soldiers. The second responsibility of any government is to protect its citizens, and that is why they have police. The first one to protect its border, that is why they have soldiers. That is what Ukraine is trying to do right now against Russian aggression. The second one is to protect its citizens, and that is why they have police. Have you ever seen any country anywhere in the world without these 2 things? Let me tell you, even despite all the challenges we have in Nigeria, during COVID, at the height of COVID, remember that Nigeria sent a plane to come and evacuate Nigerian citizens who are stranded here in the US. Why didn't they ask American government to help them bring those people back? Because it is not the responsibility of the American government to protect Nigerian citizens. The same way, American government sent planes to go and bring Americans who are stranded in Nigeria to evacuate them. Why did Nigeria not help them bring those people? Because it would have been regarded as deportation. It is not the responsibility of the Nigerian government to protect American citizens. So many of the people that are applying for asylum, they are actually telling American government to come and violate their country's sovereignty. Are you following me? Okay.
I mean, because what is the definition of an asylum?
I'm going there.
Okay.
I just want to give it to you in a layman's language so that you understand it.
Okay.
Like I said, let me summarize it again before I go further. What I've said so far is that every country.
No, I get that. I get what you've said so far. Yes.
So the responsibility of every country is to protect its own citizens.
And its borders. Yes, I get that.
And its borders. So if a Nigerian has a problem, if somebody is about to attack you or kill you or harm you, it is the responsibility of the Nigerian government to protect you. It is not the responsibility of the American government to protect you. So by applying for asylum, telling American government to come and protect you, maybe because your father-in-law want to harm you or because somebody in the society want to harm you, that is not American government's responsibility. So if American government decide to protect you in such a situation, they will be violating international law because it is not their responsibility. Now, to be eligible for asylum, the first thing you must show is that harm that you are running away from, that harm is coming from the government of your country. Because if the government that is supposed to protect you, if that government is the one trying to harm you, can you rely on the same government to protect you? You cannot. And that is when international law allows a third country to protect you. So for anybody applying for asylum, the first thing you have to prove is that harm that you are running away from is coming from the government or from someone that the government is unwilling or unable to control. That is the first requirement for asylum. The second requirement for asylum is that even after proving that the government is the one trying to harm you, you still have to show that the reason that the government is trying to harm you is at least one of 5 recognized grounds. Remember, we are talking about government here. In some cases, the government, they have a legitimate reason to harm you. What if you have committed a crime? It's the government's responsibility to have you arrested, detained, if possible, jailed and all. So somebody cannot go and commit a crime and then run here and say, I want asylum because Nigerian government is after me. So you still have to show that, one, the government is the one trying to harm you, or the government is not able to protect you from the one trying to harm you. Or two, that the reason that the government is trying to harm you is one of 5 recognized grounds: race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. Now, since we are talking about Nigeria here, using Nigeria as an example, 2 out of those 5 is not even applicable to Nigerians. We don't have race problem in Nigeria. Nobody can say, oh, I want asylum because of my race. We don't have that problem. We don't have nationality problem in Nigeria. So we are limited to only 3. Membership in a particular social group, religion, political opinion. Those are the only 3 we are left with. And the 3rd requirement for asylum, you must apply within 1 year of entry. Come to think of it, if it is true that the government is after you, you managed to escape here. First month, you didn't say anything. 2nd month, 6th month, 8th month, 12th month. Maybe 3 years after, you suddenly remember that they are after you. Those things don't work. Unfortunately, I've seen all kinds of stories that people will put together. I read one story recently. Somebody said that at his job, he had access to some secret information, and therefore they wanted to kill him. How is that American government problem? No, tell me, how is that American government problem? Sorry,
because just like the way I heard this in my head was again in Yoruba language.
So those are some of the basic information that people lack. And like I said, I can go on and on and on, and we see these things all the time. Mm. And that is why I dedicated myself, at least to the best of my knowledge, to provide information free of charge to people. Mm. The way we do the podcast, we allow people to send in questions from all over the world. You can text questions on WhatsApp. You can, and for those, even though it's not common for anybody to call in, probably because, but we don't even need to know your name. Send the question anonymously. Once we read the question, we answer it.
Did you know that there are more pathways for emigrating or for moving to America than any other country in the world? It is just that a lot of people don't have access to the right information about which visas they should be applying for. And this is sad, because out of the many legal pathways to come to America, there are 2 that are given the greater preference, or that are given the greatest preference than all of the others. You don't have to show that you have employment in the United States of America, or that somebody is going to employ you. You can file for yourself by yourself, and you can be done with the whole process between 6 and 18 months. If you'd like to know more, just click on the link below or the link in my bio, or just pause this video and copy out the address and paste it in your browser. Okay, Dr. Asekun, 2 questions, or rather 2 pieces of information. First of all, where can people get your books? I have 2 of them, God vs. Science and Destiny. I believe what's the title? My Life, My Destiny.
No, God vs. Science
and
My Testimony, True Life Story.
Okay, great.
Then the other one is Destiny, a memoir.
Okay.
A dangers of I can't even remember.
Okay, and then Common Immigration Questions and
American Immigration Questions and Answers. I have
okay.
other books that I've published. All my books are available on Amazon.
Oh, awesome.
But for those who are in Nigeria, I have an office on Allen Avenue, 68 Allen Avenue. Any of my books can be purchased there.
Okay.
And of course, for those who want to read it for free, if they go to the OSU Library, Olabisi Onabanjo University,
yes,
copies of my books are available there at their library, especially at the resource center.
Okay.
That people
which you built, by the way.
To God's glory. That's one of the reasons why God preserved me.
Let's be clear. You built that resource center, by the way, according to what you said, when you were in school and they were mock.
I represented Olabisi Onabanjo University because that's where I studied my law.
Yes.
So I represented them during Teslim Elias International Moot Court competition.
Yes.
So, of course, for the first time, Olabisi Onabanjo University was established in 1982. And of course, there were no campus, we were just using different mini centers, high schools here and there. So there were no facilities. So for the first time, that competition was at the Institute of International Affairs in Lagos. So I saw facilities. I saw courtroom that students could use. I saw a lot of things. And I purported in my heart that if I become successful, I'm going to build something like this of international standard at my school. And to God's glory, that was what I did.
What's the center called? What's the name of the center?
Dr. Olusegun Asekun Law Resource Center.
That's just amazing.
It has multiple courtroom, judges' chambers. It has library. It has a lawyer's consultation room.
Yeah.
It has foyer for students to relax. I mean,
for me, when I think of you, two Ebenezer Obey songs come to my head. If I was going to ask you that, when you were going through the part where your girlfriend was having an affair with your friend, did that song ever come to you? I don't even need to sing it. If that song ever occurred to you, because you know the song, an Ebenezer Obey song. Does any song occur to you?
Not right now.
Really? You never thought of ohun tí ó dá má gbàyàwó rẹ̀ ojú ló fi ń tì. Okay, so that one. And then the second one, I mean, this is you returning to the school that gave you so much issues trying to study law in that school, and to the environment that was so difficult for you to build a resource center that they never had. And the song that came to my head, or that comes to my head, is ẹniwọ́n ní kò lè pàgọ́ lọ́jọ́ ọjọ́ sí ó dónílé àràǹbarà àgbàyánú. Yes.
No, all glory to God. And I can tell you this, God probably already knew, even before I was born, that some of these things will happen. That was probably why He preserved me. Because even some of the stories that I'm telling today, a lot of people will go to their grave with it rather than share the stories. God already knows that I'm not the one that will hide this. God already knows that through me, other people with similar problems will be encouraged. And even people without the problem, God already knew that I have a way that I'm going to impact other people's people going through some challenges in life. So that's probably, because people ask me, I mean, it's not as if I have a child at OSU. I don't even have any family member there in law faculty or anything. What do I start to benefit? I already have my doctorate degree. It's not as if I'm expecting them to award me some honor. Doctor is doctor. It's not as if they give me another one, I'm going to
be Doctor Plus.
Doctor Plus. I mean, I didn't do it for any form of pecuniary gain. Not for any anticipated return, nothing. But because God lays it in my hand. And it is very dangerous to desire something. If you look at the Bible, you will see many people who have made promises, even to God. God always fulfills His part, because God is a very great negotiator. So once you say, if you do this, I will do this, He will keep its own part. So I told God, if I become a successful lawyer, I will do this. So that was what I did.
For those who would like to get in touch with you, what's your most direct contact?
Well, that is a very valuable information because one of the challenges I have is appointment. Keeping appointment is one of our major challenges. And that is because a lot of people, when they want to schedule an appointment, they prefer to talk to me. I mean, there are other lawyers in this office. Sometimes waiting to talk to me may take weeks, if not months sometimes. That is because of the schedule. Because if to schedule an appointment, I still have to go to court in between. I still have to go to immigration office with clients for interview in between. I have other people who schedule appointment previously. I still have to prepare for cases, for trial, I have to prepare briefs, I have to prepare. So sometimes it is not that easy. But I have a lot of helping hands. There are other lawyers here. So to reach us, you can schedule an appointment online, oluasekun.lawyer. A lot of people, they say oluasekun.lawyer.com. There's no .com. It's just oluasekun.lawyer. And of course, you can schedule an appointment online. And for those who are calling from out of the country, we also have a lot of WhatsApp numbers that people can reach us. I believe they are all on our website.
Okay, who owns oluasekun.com, by the way?
Well, I'm the founding partner.
Okay.
I'm the founding
No, I mean the website, oluasekun.com, since you use .lawyer instead of .com for your website.
Well, we still own it.
Okay.
I'm not sure if people do oluasekun.com. It might probably redirect them.
Yes, that's what I'm.
Yeah,
just
it
for those
probably redirect.
Because we would ordinarily
but I have seen people after putting the .lawyer, then they add .com.
So it's just oluasekun.lawyer.
Yes.
Dr. Asekun, thank you very much. As I almost always say to my guests, I could keep going on and on, but here we are pushing almost 2 hours right now. And as you just alluded, you have a full schedule. In fact, you have an interview with immigration that was supposed to happen, or that is supposed to happen right about now. So I like to thank you for doing this. There's still so much I want to ask you. For example, do you do only immigration law? Does immigration law pay? How did you become a lawyer? Is it too late? We'll probably have to schedule another interview for this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on the program.
I said.